Spain's Jewish community was the world's largest and most influential during the Middle Ages. But Iberian Peninsula Jews were persecuted for their faith by both the secular monarchs and the Catholic Church, leaving them three options: convert to Catholicism, flee the country, or practice Jewish traditions secretly. These are the Bnei Anousim.
The Bnei Anousim, or Marranos as they're referred to by historians, are people whose ancestors were Jews who were compelled to convert to Catholicism. There was terrible persecution which they endured, which culminated in 1492 with the expulsion of Spain's Jews. Many left, but many others remained behind. Tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Jews were forced to embrace Catholicism against their will. Nonetheless, many of them continued to practice Judaism in secret down through the centuries, passing it down from generation to generation.
I started to keep Shabbat secretly, to light candles and similar practices.
Although my family was Christian, they were not really practicing Christians. What I mean is that on Friday evenings they lit candles, though they didn't know why. And then, about 8 years ago, we returned to the Jewish way of life.
As the Inquisition began to pursue the hidden Jews or the secret Jews, the Anousim felt increasingly threatened in Spain and Portugal, and they began to look for safer shores, whether across the ocean in South America or in other Spanish and Portuguese colonies as well, because they wanted to get as far away as possible from the center of the Inquisition, which was in Europe.
Me enteré por casualidad a los 18 años.
By chance, I discovered my roots at the age of 18. It was a real shock because this was Spain with a regime that was, well, anti-Jewish.
Más bien antijudía.
Mi nombre es Lea. Ya me lo cambié.
My name is Leah. I changed it officially. I was born with a name from here, from Spain, but I changed it when I realized that my true identity was not the one I was living with.
In Spain and Portugal alone, there are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of Anousim. In South America, the numbers are said to be even greater, with some experts suggesting that in Brazil alone, there may be several million Anousim.
Johanna is Ecuadorian. Her father is of Jewish descent but was raised a Christian. Now in Barcelona, Johanna is undergoing an Orthodox return and conversion, the Giur.
We, the Anousim, are in a cycle, but we have not yet reached the Promised Land. That Promised Land comes at the end of the Giur, as we learn to live out the identity that God has given to His people. At age 16, I started searching. I separated myself from Catholicism and started looking for my real connection, where I could really be myself. So I'm starting to walk as a new baby towards those roots, which have such a strong pull.
Over the past 2 or 3 decades, a growing number of Anousim have been coming out of the closet and seeking to reclaim their Jewish identity. Spain and Portugal, up until 3 decades ago, were dictatorships. It's only in the past 30 years that those societies have begun to open up more and that people feel more comfortable in identifying themselves as descendants of Jews.
I decided to seek information about my Jewish roots, and that caused me to return, actually to consider the possibility of returning to my people. So for about 10 years, I've been in the process of returning to Israel, to my people, the Jewish people.
We've been involved with helping the Anousim now for a number of years. We have emissaries serving in Spain, Portugal, and Brazil who work with the Anousim, assisting them in their efforts to return to the Jewish people. We run periodic seminars for Anousim in their home countries where we bring together rabbis and educators from Israel, and we spend time together with them studying, experiencing the Shabbat, the Jewish Sabbath, and strengthening them as they pursue their quest of returning to the Jewish people.
And so it's been a long road of soul-searching, which actually began as a mere interest in Jewish cultural and historic aspects.
Their ancestors, through no fault of their own, were abducted from us. They were taken away from us against their will. Nonetheless, they managed to preserve their sense of Jewish identity down through the centuries, often at great risk to themselves and their families. So I feel that we, the Jewish people, have a responsibility towards them, and we need to embrace them, and we need to facilitate their return to the Jewish people.
We're nearing the end of that long road, but there's still a very high mountain ahead which must be conquered. Sometimes it seems it gets harder and harder reaching that conversion, but with the Almighty's help, we'll make it.
With the support of Shavei Israel, the Bnei Anousim are returning not only to their Jewish roots, but following the conversion process, they are returning to the land of their forefathers, the land of Israel, where they are integrating.
Purim, Hanukkah y todos los ayunos. Todos estos casos suben 3 personas a la Torah.
Here in Jerusalem, Shavei Israel runs Machon Miriam, which is a Spanish and Portuguese language conversion and return institute. Each year, approximately 200 students from Spain, Portugal, and South America come here to study with us for the purposes of formally returning to the Jewish people.
We offer a lot of Jewish history in these classes, some Jewish philosophy, and a lot of halachic law, so that they can know how to deal sensibly with various situations. For example, many in their extended families are not Jewish, while other family members are Jewish. This yields a complicated situation, one that they have to know how to deal with sensibly.
We are actively working with the rabbinate to try and create some kind of mechanism of return that will enable more Anousim to come home.
My family is very happy with this because I was the first one to chorus to assume that I am a Jewish, and I want to be recognized by Israel that I am a Jewish.
All these we consider Anousim, and many of them in recent years are requesting to come under the wings of the Divine Presence, the Shekhinah, and join the people of Israel.
Of course, there is no better place for a Jewish person than in Israel, because a Jew must live as a Jew, and one must live among one's own. There is no other place.
Not all of the Anousim are necessarily interested in conversion or return or aliyah. Many of them simply have an intellectual or an emotional curiosity about their Jewish roots. And I feel it is our responsibility to help them to reconnect with their heritage in the way that they feel most comfortable doing so. Obviously, there will be some or many who will want to undergo a spiritual process of return and who will seek to make aliyah. We are seeing the beginning of the return after 500 years of the Bnei Anousim to the Jewish people and to the State of Israel.